From VOA Learning English, this is your news about education in special English. Medical schools in the United States traditionally require 4 years of study. Now, a small number of universities are offering 3-year programs. Finishing medical school in 3 years means new doctors could begin their careers sooner. The reduction of a year could also save up to 25% of the cost. That would decrease heavy student loan debts for some students who borrow money to pay for their education. Schools offering 3-year programs include the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center and Mercer University in Georgia. New York University in Manhattan is also testing a 3-year program. At NYU, 10% of the nearly 200 students who entered the School of Medicine last fall were chosen for the new program. Students can change to the 4-year program if the faster one is too difficult or too much pressure. Arthur Kaplan is a bioethicist. He leads the Division of Medical Ethics at NYU. He says the current system of American medical education dates back to the early 20th century. An American doctor named Simon Flexner studied the German model of medical education. The Germans divided it into 2 years of science and 2 years of supervised clinical work with patients. American medical schools copied the model. But Arthur Kaplan says today, medical students should be spending less time in the classroom and more time gaining experience in modern medicine. After medical school, most new doctors spend at least 3 years working in residencies in hospitals. Further training for specialty areas can take much longer. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report in Special English. Classes in science, technology, engineering, and math are known as STEM classes. Many professors continue to teach STEM classes the traditional way, by lecturing. But standing in front of the class and lecturing may not be the best way to teach today's students. That is what Kevin Egan says. He is with the University of California, Los Angeles. He also is co-author of a new study. It found that lecturing is still used a great deal in STEM courses taught in the United States. Kevin Egan says lecturing is not bad, but it tends to be less productive when it is the only teaching technique used in the classroom. He says that when teachers add class discussion, encourage questions, and provide hands-on activities, students are better engaged in learning. Supporters say placing students at the center of instruction changes the focus from teaching to learning. The study did find a growing use of student-centered methods like class discussions, cooperative learning, and student presentations. Female professors are more likely than male professors to use the new methods in undergraduate classes. More than 60% of female faculty in science, technology, engineering, and math said they used cooperative learning methods. That was compared to about 40% of male teachers. Lecturing is used the most in STEM courses. Kevin Egan says faculty members need time away from their classes to learn some of these new techniques. The result of older methods may be low completion rates in STEM programs. The Chronicle of Higher Education noted that less than 40% of students who seek a degree in one of these subjects actually graduate with one. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Name a website where you could find old pictures of camels carrying people to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and books about ancient Aztecs in Mexico. It is all found in the World Digital Library. Its collection is available on the internet. The library has 8,000 items, from whole books to ancient writings to music and photographs. There are 170 partners in 79 countries sending material to the World Digital Library. Partners include national or university libraries, museums, and other cultural organizations. The librarian of the United States Congress, James Billington, launched the WDL in 2009. John Van Oudenaren is the director of the library. He says Mr. Billington wanted it to include materials that are both interesting and important. Every item is explained in the 6 official languages of the United Nations: English, Arabic, French, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and also Portuguese. Since 2009, 25 million people have visited the website from 250 places. The greatest number is from Spanish-speaking countries. John Van Oudenaren says users include schools, researchers, and anyone interested. He was especially happy to hear from one teacher in New York City. She said it was wonderful to have a website where people around the world could find interesting and important items. Musa Marawe is a researcher for the WDL from Sudan. He works with all the materials that are in Arabic. Musa Marawe believes the library provides tools for understanding, especially among Arabs, Muslims, and the United States. Anyone may search the World Digital Library by subject, time period, kind of document, or area of the world. The website is www.wdl.org. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. For VOA Learning English, welcome to Economics in Special English. In January, the World Bank released its Global Economic Prospects Report. World Bank experts are using the words fragile and uncertain to describe the economic recovery this year. Their report predicts the global economy will grow a little over 2% in 2013 and slightly more in the following 2 years. Predictions of limited growth have become familiar since the financial crisis 4 years ago. Wealthy countries are expected to have slower growth than developing ones, as they deal with larger amounts of debt and big budget deficits. World Bank President Jim Yong Kim is urging developing countries to become growth drivers. But he notes that it is important to build a foundation for growth that can last over time. He says the developed world needs to help developing countries make gains in health, infrastructure, and education. Andrew Burns was lead author of the report. He says it is not only important to build roads and bridges, but to invest money in health care and effort in government reforms. Some high-growth developing countries, such as China, are spending a lot on public works projects, but spend little on health care. The World Bank president says Europe and America have approved some measures to deal with economic weakness. But financial policy remains a work in progress. Still, wealthy nations remain the biggest markets for exports and providers of foreign investment. Developing countries are positioned for stronger growth, but they will face basic risks. World Bank Chief Kim said he is concerned that low grain supplies could bring high food prices, hurting the poor. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report in Special English. Today, schools in the United States communicate with parents in many different ways. Mail is still used, but now schools and parents connect through email, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and Skype. The Houston Independent School District in Texas has more than 200,000 students. Most of them come from lower-income families. The newspaper Education Week recently reported on a digital literacy training program that the district has started for parents. Microsoft helped the school district establish computer training centers for parents at 5 of its campuses. Other schools around the country are also increasing their digital services, and not just in English. Many schools provide information in Spanish and other languages. Free online translation sites can also help parents stay informed about their children's education. Some school systems even give parents online access to their children's grades and schoolwork. 600 students attend Knapp Elementary School near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Joe Mazza is head of the school. He says nearly 1 in 5 of his students come from Bangladesh, and 12% come from South Korea. Joe Mazza says the most important way that a school gets to know parents is in face-to-face meetings. But under his guidance, the school has added social networking tools to meet the needs of the community. The school uses resources like Twitter, e-newsletters, and Skype. Teachers can talk to parents over Skype if the parents cannot attend a conference in person. Social media, Joe Mazza says, is providing us with many new and really free ways to connect with parents. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.
I'm a student, but after graduated from my university 20 days ago.
Oh, congratulations! What
Yes, thank you.
what did you study? What was your degree in?
Yes, my major is English. I teach English for students, and I was used to a teaching app for a phone break, teaching English teaching assistant.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, I'm here in Seoul, South Korea right now to speak at a seminar organized by the State Department for English teachers from 10 countries in East Asia, including Vietnam. What advice would you give people who are trying to improve their English?
I think the best way for a English learner is to start with listening skill. They first try to listen to movies with English subtitles, and then they can learn new vocabulary with Learner Advanced Dictionary. They can try to mimic the pronunciation in the dictionary, so it can help them to listening when the words are in the long sentence. Yeah, and then for Vietnamese people, we do not have too many chances to talk with foreigners, so it's a little difficult for Vietnamese to enhance their listening skill. So the most important thing to Vietnamese people and other people, English learners, if they want to enhance their listening skill, is try to mimic the American and British accent, because if they can speak as well as the American and British, they can listen to them. If they pronounce the word correctly, they can recognize the word when it's in a sentence. Hence, they can improve their listening skill. I have one question for you.
Yes.
Um, we gave our students a tape record, they listen to them. They can understand the tape. But when they step out from the university, they step out from the class, they talk with the foreigners, they cannot understand them. Can you help me to identify the differences between listening in the class and listening in the real life situations?
I think the one difference is that often when you listen to recordings, it's professional. Often it's professional speakers, it's actors, or it's announcers, and so it's not like natural speech where there are false starts and people speak fast and don't necessarily speak in grammatical sentences. That's a challenge. I think that
Yes.
um, the ideally you would have the students would be exposed to natural speech, to the kind of conversations that people have, the way they actually speak in real life. You want to try to find maybe on YouTube videos where people are speaking, but where it's maybe less scripted and more natural.
And one more advice, two more advice that I want to give to offer to the English learners, that we should try to listen to many accents, because many people are speaking English around the world these days. We have Indian, Vietnamese, and other nations. So I think the best way to improve their listening skill is to listen to many voices of English in order to recognize their standard accent of English. And the most important thing is that I used to tell my students is not to use headphones or earphones when they listen to English, because if you use earphone or headphone, the sound is clearer than you listen to English in real life situation. So I think if you use real earphones or headphones when you are listening to English, it can it's not for you if you have to listen to English when you meet foreigners.
I train myself since many years in English, self-education. because I have learned French and Russian as languages in the school for many years, and so I work a lot, and I don't have time to go to courses in schools or universities because of my busy work. So I'm going always to Facebook and to Voice of America and BBC English.
Well, we
That's-
get a lot of questions from people asking what advice do we have for learning English. So it sounds like you've got some great advice. How did you learn these? So you're busy, and so yeah. How is it again? You learned these languages. Just how did you use Facebook to help you learn?
I started with BBC a very simple book, and after this I found out on Facebook your website, and I'm reading the comments, and I'm reading how other people in other countries they learn in the same way English like me, what they have for questions, and I also watch your channel, and I also have English friends in America, and so
do you
I get
Skype?
trained.
You Skype with
Oh,
people?
Skype, yes. And I visited London and Los Angeles and New York, and this is how I train my English. And I read every day magazines, fashion magazines and news, but especially fashion magazines. Yeah.
I have learned English by myself, sir, and I am not very classical learned. I didn't classical learn English, but I am very interested to learn and continue and try to progress my language.
Well,
So-
what did you do to teach yourself?
I started by myself by self-teaching since I think 1990. I think, yes. It's a long time, but you see how I can speak now. And that time it was zero. I didn't know anything.
So
But now I speak a little bit. Yes.
So what kinds of things did you do? I mean, did you watch movies? Did you read books? What did you find most helpful to you?
Yeah, I started with cassette and a book during the tape. Do you remember? No, before CDs, and I started with with the very basic main instruments, and I started with that, including a book, and step by step I listened at first and tried to read the book. After that, my job was in business field, and I had some contact with foreigners like Italian, German, and English or Korean or other nationalities. So gradually, my English became a bit better. I mean, now you you hear it. So it was helpful for me. But my starting was with a book and with a tape. But my listening part is very weak, because I have faced with several nationalities, people with several sense of the pronunciation, and it was very difficult. Even when now I am speaking with you, I understand you very difficultly. Or when I speak with the Chinese, their pronunciation is different, and so from the part of the listening, I am very weak, but for speaking, I think it's better.
My name is Abdulrahman Saeed. I am from Egypt. I am a fresh graduate from the faculty this year from the Faculty of Electronic Engineering in Menifee University. And I appreciate every effort that does from VOA Learning English from there. I appreciate this. Really,
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
that. Well, let me ask you a question I've been asking other callers. How did you learn English? What do you think were the most effective strategies you used to help you learn English, and what advice would you have for other people?
Yes, the very important thing for learning English is the passion for learning any languages, and this learn us for practice many words in everyday practice English in such in such important fields in reading, especially in reading magazines, in reading every books if you specialize in your fields. And from my study, I study communication engineering, and I used to learn English from writing and reading English because of my study. For communication department in our faculty, we learn for 5 years in in English these materials. We have many materials. We have our courses that specialize in English. Yes, and my advice for them is practice and practice and practice.